What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another movie review where today I will be talking about Creed 3. Yes, this is the third installment in the Creed series, and I have to tell you, this one might be the best one out of the three. And that's not even taking much or anything away from the other two, because the first two were pretty good themselves. Like, I actually have come to really love this franchise for what it's become. I believe they pretty much kind of took a risk with this one because it was like the re-emerging of the Rocky series, but they managed to do something where they were able to move away, get their footing with having Rocky as a crutch, but now definitely with this movie, because there's no presence of Rocky there, it really now has found its footing and is standing on its own. And before I actually get into the review, let me give you an experience that I had today. I went to the Alamo Drafthouse Theater. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that before, but it's like a small theater chain. But I'm going to put it like this. After my experience there just one time, they will definitely be seeing me again. And if they ever expanded to the point where AMC is right now, they will be their new competition. So AMC better hope that Alamo Drafthouse stays more low on the radar, but not so low to the point where people don't know about them. But it was definitely a great experience. I was able to order food. I had I think I had a grilled chicken Caesar salad and some water. I'm still on, my health kick, so I didn't want to get anything too crazy or anything like that, but something to really hold me over. And that chicken Caesar salad was good. So good, in fact, that the waiter had came back and thought that I had ordered another salad. If I knew they wasn't going to charge me for that one, I probably would have taken that other salad and ate it. But, I said, I don't want to be greedy. I said, nah, that's not me, because then again, they might have tried to charge me for a second one. So I didn't even do that. But if you ever get a chance to go see a movie, make sure y'all go and check out the Alamo Drafthouse. If there's one in your area, you just go on Google, type it in and see what the closest one is to you. Luckily for me, there are two relatively close to me. Driving wise is about 20 minutes apart. Well, 20 minutes depending on which one that I go to. And I definitely had a good experience. The seats were nice and comfortable. The sound in there was amazing. It was like being in an IMAX theater without seeing a movie on an IMAX screen. But just a little shameless plug I had to throw out there about this particular theater, in case y'all never heard of it, or maybe you have heard of it and you've been there before, you know what that experience is like. So with that being said, let's get into the movie. First off, let me give a shout out to Michael B. Jordan, because he was the director of this movie. As you know, the first two Creed movies was directed by Ryan Coogler, but he didn't direct this one. But I believe Ryan Coogler stayed on as a producer and part of the screenplay. So I think he was part of the script for this movie and a producer. So he didn't do any directing, but that's fine, because Michael B. Jordan did the damn thing when it comes to the directing of this film. But basically, the Creed 3 movie is basically about Adonis Creed, played by Michael B. Jordan. He basically now has fought his last fight. He's about to go into retirement and be a family man. He's married, he has a daughter. For those of you seen Creed 2, you already know how that went. And now he's just living life, and he's living very nice too. I mean, him and his family live in this very nice home, mansion, almost castle style, like in the hills of LA. And it's just beautiful. His wife, she has her own studio because she's into music, so she's producing music. So I like that it's a dynamic of, she's not being a housewife. She's also contributing to the wealth building side of the family. With him, from the money he's won from his matches, and she's contributing because of money she's made from producing and writing music and being a part of songs. So I like that they did that and not have her just be there, especially since in the previous movies, she was doing something, like she was into music and everything like that. So I like that they actually still go on with that particular storyline. They also have a daughter, and she's deaf. If you remember in the second movie, when she gave birth, they did like a hearing test on the daughter to see if it would be hereditary, because Bianca, who's played by Tessa Thompson, was starting to lose her hearing, and they wanted to see if it was going to be passed down. And unfortunately, it was passed down. So her daughter is completely deaf, whereas Bianca is partially deaf, where she can still hear, but when she's in a very loud environment or a very open environment, she has to wear a hearing aid, because it's just a lot of noise. But when she's at home and it's more an intimate setting, she doesn't have to wear one. She can just have a casual conversation. But the daughter is completely deaf, so they have to do sign language. And shout out to Tessa Thompson and Michael B. Jordan for, I'm guessing, taking signing classes, because they had to do some sign language in the movie because their daughter is deaf. So I thought that was very interesting. I always like seeing, the incorporations of a person who may be deaf, or hearing impaired into the movies to see how they act, because it's more than just them doing the hands signing, but they also have to do expressions with their faces as well, whether they're happy, sad, mad, angry. So that's very more method acting. So I just wanted to get that out there, that I really like that dynamic just with their family alone. But also going forward, now he's retired, he's out of the game. He's already done everything that he can, until he has an obstacle come back into his life. And that obstacle is Damian Anderson, played by Jonathan Majors. Now, granted, we are not here to talk about Jonathan Majors in that cover. We're not here to talk about it, even though I just brought it up, but I brought it up because I know some people might try to bring it up in the comments. We are just focusing on this performance. And let me just tell you right now, Jonathan Majors plays a damn good antagonist in this movie. I would say he was probably one of the best parts of the movie, and I would say he's probably been one of the best antagonists of this series so far. The first one, he was kind of like a no-name person, but that's fine because it was an introduction to who this character was. The second one was you had Adonis Creed going against Ivan Drago's son, who we know is a huge, long-standing beef with Apollo Creed and Ivan Drago. So I like how they did that for a second film. And by the way, they actually found a way to incorporate him into this movie as well. But in this one, it's like, okay, we got our footing, but we don't need to have some big name person say, we already done the thing of, we had a person who was a rival and their son come back and fight. So let's not do that again. That's already been done. So let's incorporate an original story of someone that you knew from your childhood. Y'all were best friends. Something goes wrong, and then there's distance between you. Y'all go two separate paths. One led you to greatness. The other one just kind of, he went into a realm where no one wants to go for an umpteenth amount of years. And then when they get out of that situation, they come and find you because they said that they need help and they trying to get back into it and whatnot. But then as time goes on, you realize this person has ulterior motives. And when I tell you, when that plot twist kicked in, it was like, whoa, didn't see that coming. And then when it started to ramp up to the point where Jonathan Majors' character of Damian Anderson has now turned from a person you kind of felt bad for initially to the point where, oh, you want him to get his ass beat. It's one of those moments right there. I have never wanted to see an antagonist get dealt with so much in a non-superhero film, I would say, in a very long time, until I saw this movie right here because of what he did. It's like the ultimate betrayal in order to try to get yourself to a position, even when you had your friend or your so-called friend trying to help you get to the point where you wanted to be, and you went about it in this way. I don't want to spoil it in any way because many of you probably want to go see it, but you'll understand what I mean when you actually see the film. They also had Felicia Rashad in here. Felicia Rashad, when she was acting on the screen, I immediately thought of Claire Huxtable. Like, she gave me some Claire Huxtable vibes, even when she wasn't trying to be her. When I was watching her performance, Claire Huxtable is like one of our icons. She's like one of our wonders of the world, especially when it comes to acting. And she's always phenomenal in everything that she does. Now, I would say it's probably one thing that, or something that she does in this movie that some people are not going to completely agree with, but when you see it, you'll understand why she did what she did at the end. At first, I was like, I wish she wouldn't have done that, but then when she reveals why she did it, then it's like, oh, okay, I understand now why she did what she did. I like the tagline that they used in the movie called "You Can't Run From Your Past," because when the plot twist kicks in, then that's when that tagline of "You can't run from your past" locks in for me. And I said that was a perfect tagline for this film. The cinematography, let me tell y'all something. The cinematography for this film was phenomenal. The stuff that they did with the boxing ring sequences, and they were swirling the camera around with the boxing sequences and everything like that, was some of the best sequences I've seen when it comes to a boxing style film. I love that Michael B. Jordan decided to go and do something like that, because it catches all angles at one time without it being a bunch of jump cuts all over the place and a whole bunch of edits. So I like that they did that. And there was one scene, and this goes to the visual effects. It was one scene towards the end in the last fight of the movie where they did something in there that completely blew my mind, and probably everybody else's in the audience, that I could not believe they actually took the risk to, well, not even say take a risk, but actually did. Like, I could not believe that they did. I don't even want to say it as much as I want to, but if you watch the movie, you can't miss it. But it's something they did on the visual effects, and it's amazing that they did do that with a film that doesn't even need it, but it actually worked because it meshed or gelled with the storyline and fit with the scene itself. Like, I couldn't believe that they actually did it. I will say this: if it was up to me, they would get nominated for cinematography, sound, because the sound was amazing. Like, when they were doing the punches and the punches landing and everything like that, that sound to your ears is phenomenal. It actually felt like you was actually in the ring while that was happening. And that's the visual effects on that one scene. If you see that, you'll know exactly what it is that I am talking about. But all in all, this was a very, very good movie. Like, the Creed movies, in my opinion, cannot do any wrong. I never had anything bad to say about the first one. I didn't have anything bad to say about the second one. And I definitely don't have anything bad to say about this one. Like, this was a very good film. And I'm loving that we are getting a lot more non-superhero films. I said that when I did my review on Cocaine Bear. I love that we're getting kind of a refresher where we can see movies where it's not based on a comic book adaptation, or it's nothing from the MCU or nothing from DC. I'm loving this, and I really, really did love this film. Shout out to Michael B. Jordan for directing this film. I think this might have been his first directorial debut. I'm not entirely sure, but if it is, he knocked that out of the park, and he needs to do more directing, especially if it's going to be on a scale like this. The acting across the board from everybody was great. Like, this movie had it had small bits of comedy, a lot of drama, and they pulled it. I think this is some of the best performances that I've seen Michael B. Jordan do since Fruitvale Station. And that's not to take anything away from anything else that he's done. Of course, Killmonger and Black Panther, given. And it's crazy because you have three MCU actors in this movie: Michael B. Jordan, Tessa Thompson, and Jonathan Majors. Killmonger, Valkyrie, and Kang the Conqueror. And to see or have Killmonger versus Kang, like, that's literally what triggered in my mind when they were going at it. I was like, Killmonger in this corner, Kang in this corner. So it's just great how that dynamic just kind of came together. The sequences where they were training, I always love how they incorporate that music, that triumphant music in there whenever there's a training sequence going on. And I love the dynamic that they show from one particular person who's training versus the other person. It's almost like dark versus light, or light versus dark. So I really love that aspect of it. I love the flashback scenes that they did so they can give a little bit more in-depth storyline. And this is like one of the first movies of the Creed series, if not the first, where they did a flashback. So now you're getting a backstory a little bit on the Adonis Creed character and the Damian Anderson character, to see how this thing kind of came about. Because if they left that out, then it's like, where did all of this animosity from each other come from? Like I said, this movie was just great. It's so much more that I could say about this, but I think I've already said enough to hopefully convince you to go and watch it, because this movie was really, really good. Like, I would definitely give this, I don't even want to give it a score. It's really that good. Like, I don't want to give it a perfect score because I don't want to say anything is a perfect 10, but just know it's knocking on the door of a 10. Just know that. But with that being said, I'm going to conclude the review right here. Y'all let me know what you think down in the comments. Is this a movie that you will go see? Is it a movie that you'll pass on? Or just let me know. Let's get the discussion popping. I'll talk to you in the next one. Be one.